Okay, it's day 55, part one, and here's the stories we're working on this morning. First of all, if you saw the Spa War video from yesterday, this gentleman here, this Russian guy, well, he has a Russian accent, but he's not from Russia. But he was working here at the Spa War Center, whistleblower. Here's Charleston. I just want to show you the three different locations for Spa War, which Spa War is the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center. And he basically said, we got a problem in our maritime operations centers in these handoffs. And if you had a problem, let's say you had a mobile operations center, a maritime operations center in, let's say, SOCOM down in Tampa, and it somehow lost the ships that it was targeting, and combining all the satellite and aerial and radar, all the reconnaissance, somehow if it lost that going to Miami, that would be the perfect time to have, the handoff, the other kind of handoff, the bad kind of handoff, the rat line kind of handoff. So bad handoffs are not good in a maritime operations center because they're good for rat lines. Okay, that's all I wanted to say there. Everyone said, "Oh, NCIS, NCIS." You're just saying NCIS now that you know this is a Navy infiltration. It's the CIA Navy that's infiltrating. You got that all from Lambert and stuff like that. No, that's not true. I've had this since day 190. So if you go back here, even before I had name Taggart, I was just using a picture of a Marine for a long time. Go back to day 190, I was talking enter NCIS. If you go back to day 190, what I say is the Blackberries got brought over to the house, and so did the laptops got brought over to the house, and that these were involved in the communication of rat lines, okay? International communication. They were individual devices that have been enabled, and I was talking about Blue Sky Link way back then and Iridium phones way back then. Go back and look at the episode if you want to see it. If you want to just see day 55 last year, you can see there are several parts where I talk about Andy McCabe and the spy ring. Okay, so if you go to, and I compare Hillary and McCabe to kind of like Queen Elizabeth and Walsingham.
Yesterday I went over how Comey's been involved.
I'll turn this up.
This, Mark Rich to Bill Clinton's for 30 years.
Basically, I say this is just a
Gets to the end
continuation
and
of
goes,
something
we don't have quite
over
enough
30
evidence."
years.
But today I wanted to kind of focus in on the fact that he did go to Lockheed as well in 2010, and he did get paid $6 million there, and then he went back to Connecticut and made a whole bunch of investments with his knowledge of his year at Lockheed. Lockheed also became the Clinton Foundation donor. Lockheed also got 17 approvals of 17 different projects, and Hillary was the Secretary of State. So I'm just kind of showing how this is all kind of an interwoven plan, that the people that could bring you down, you get involved in your investments. The same thing down here with McCabe and the 675,000. Hillary's kind of almost, this is almost Hillary's, his Elizabeth and Walsingham kind of with the spy network. So that's kind of McCabe's rise to power through kind of this spy network that he's kind of set up for Hillary through the counterterrorism program. And here's, Podesta.
That was day 55. That was day 55, 1 year ago today that I was saying that. So I'm just, folks say, come to the game late and say, oh, you've just been saying this recently. No, it's been over a year. Now with the Iridium, you can take a regular phone and then give it Iridium capabilities. This is why I think you want to keep that BlackBerry. You want the Blackberries in this situation to give you, you want the Blackberries in this situation to give you that encryption, to give you that Navy encryption. The Navy encryption is the best encryption, but then you want to enable it with Iridium, because the spectrum that Iridium is on a different frequency. My brother knows this really well. Is on a different frequency than cell phones and so forth. Now, the way this gets monitored, and I won't go to a slide here, is at DISA, which is the Joint Spectrum Center. If you could cut off this signal from the Joint Spectrum Center and block it and never send it over to the NSA, the NSA can't analyze stuff it doesn't get. Bottom line, the NSA cannot analyze stuff it didn't get. If you block this out over at the Joint Spectrum Center in Annapolis, they ain't going to get it, right? And that's why Hillary has the Joint Spectrum Center on her phone, on her speed dial. Google it. Hillary, phone, Joint Spectrum Center, you'll see the 800 number. That's why. Because if this satellite information ever does get to NSA, like Admiral Rogers right now, they'll break this whole M1 logistics network in half, lickety split. And that's my little hint out to NSA. If you want to break the network, that's how you do it. So, getting over to the lawsuits, just doing a quick flyby on the lawsuits. Again, having a problem getting my stuff entered into the system. Oh, shoot, I've logged out. Sorry about that. So I did send they're having no problem putting in my counterparts' motions about, and the judge is acting on those quickly. So I don't think this is a judge problem, but my motion for Imran Awan to have discovery and also production of documents, and as well as Glenn Simpson in this case, have not been entered yet. We're 3 days into it. We're Thursday. I entered these Monday morning with the witness. So we got to figure this problem out here. This is a really serious problem. Over here, on my FBI case, Judge Sullivan, very famous judge, you're going to find all about Judge Sullivan, a Watergate judge, which is going to be fitting because this is going to be 30 times Watergate. And I think this will eventually migrate to this case. I'm not sure, but we'll see. But he said, "Hey, you know what? The plaintiff's right. He's not a prisoner, Andy. You can't categorize the plaintiffs as prisoners. I'm sorry, it's not coming up. You can't categorize the plaintiffs as prisoners. That's not gonna. You can't do that, Andy. If they're not prisoners, you can't call them prisoners. You can't do this. This just makes it obvious to Judge Sullivan that there's bias in the case, that you are affecting how these cases are getting entered. And Andy, this is such a childish thing to do. But anyway, I fixed it. Rule 60, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure say that you can fix clerical errors. Here's an interesting one that we're working on, which is this Safeguard Consulting. Now, this person says, this is the CEO, president, saying, "Hey, I got hijacked. Miss John Meadows, I got hijacked. My company, Safeguard, got hijacked. They're on the UN trading list, UK, and AECOM. I won't go into all this, but they're listed on the UN Secretariat's registered of people that they can do business in the UK, and this is for Interpol and so forth. They don't want people running around, that are terrorists doing work in NATO facilities, right? But somebody hijacked them. And she sent me a listing of who it was, and it had been erased. She sent me a listing here. I might as well pull it up to show everybody. Somebody may have some interesting ideas on this, but here it is. These are the registered vendors. But now what could happen is you could have a scenario where let's just say Nellie, and I'm going to just use her as a placeholder, Nellie Orr, was managing a group of rogue hacker teams, like CrowdStrike hacker teams, like CrowdStrike Bears, all over the world. You gave them internet phones. You gave them good BlackBerry encryption, and then you gave them the Iridium. You gave them those little Iridium boosters, right? You gave them those little Iridium boosters. Now, basically, you've created a network, a black network of your BlackBerry network, a BlackBerry Iridium network. Now I can communicate with programmers all over the world. I'm suppressing the signal at the Joint Spectrum Center. I'm suppressing the signal so NSA is not seeing this. So now I've got a network that NSA cannot see. So now if I'm making payments to MI6 people or through the MI6 desk, through Christopher Steele, to Russian spies, I can be sending money to Ukrainian spies. I could be sending money to Indian spies, Pakistani spies, all over the world. And I kidded with sometimes I do a little comedy, right? A little satire. I kidded a little bit with Glenn Simpson saying, "Hey, you hit 112 transactions. We just took one away, which is Nellie Orr, right? They exposed one. He had admitted to one of the hidden transactions. That leaves 111. Well, are the other 111 transactions to the 111? To PAC ISA 111? I don't know. We don't know that. So we're going to look into those because the discovery makes Boy Scouts of us all. Discovery makes Boy Scouts of us all. Mr. Rosenstein, is this your wife? Miss Lisa Boomerang. Is Lisa Boomerang your wife? So anyway, we'll move on. That's just interesting. But if you wanted to get a consulting company in the quickly in July, let's say Peter Stroke's out of it and we don't have a secure communication methodology anymore, so we set up Nellie Orr with this Iridium phone network, you would have to go through the process of getting registered with the UN. If you had to make a decision quickly and Strokes got thrown out and now Nellie, oh Nellie, you got to get this network up, Nellie, it would be best to steal somebody else's company. It would be best to steal Safeguard's registration, just like Uranium One and ARMZ stole RSB Trucking to ship uranium. They never went to the trouble, they just stole somebody else's credentials. I think maybe Safeguard Consulting, they might have stolen the credentials. Who knows? We don't know that. We have to look into it. As journalists, there I had it anyway. I had it listed anyway. So moving across the board, here's another interesting company that's called Catapult, and they do GSA identity monitoring. As soon as I thought of that, I thought of the Fort Belvoir hack, the INSCOM hack, which is the Fort Gordon Sweet Tea facility, NSA facility, all these different NSA facilities bringing data back in. Here again, if I control the identity of GSA, I can make anybody in Pakistan now if I give them the GSA identity, I can have them open purchase orders or respond to bids with flying colors. If I control this identity management here, this again is another area where my brother's expert. I'm going through all the things he's expert in. Don't mean to do that, but he is an expert in that, identity management. So that's where I get my information. So anyway, the Truth Leaks here, just quickly, I'll talk about some of the projects. I try to kind of get the old noggin going early in the morning, talking to a lot of different people on the web and seeing what their ideas are. And this one is, this is Lisa Boomerang. People have called her Boomerang. Lisa Barsoomian. So if Lisa was a member of the bar, which I believe she is, and this is Rod Rosenstein's wife. She's a member of the bar. So sue me. Anne. So sue me, Anne. So that's how you remember that. So sue me. How lawyers say, well, if you don't like it, so sue me. So Barsoomian. Was Lisa Barsoomian Rod Rosenstein's wife? Rod Rosenstein. Welcome to the deposition. Was Lisa Barsoomian ever your wife? Or was that her maiden name before you married her and she became Lisa Rosenstein? I tell you, discovery makes Boy Scouts of us all. He's not going to lie. All right? Now, who is Lisa Barsoomian? Well, she's here in a case representing the CIA. This case she's representing Bill Clinton. Now, that's not a conflict of interest. He did not mention Lisa Barsoomian yesterday in 4 hours of testimony. He didn't say, oh, by the way, now we're talking about conflict of interest. I just wanted to let everybody know my wife represented Bill Clinton and the CIA. Oh, really? Okay, really? No, nobody mentioned that. This is going to come out. Even though the web has been scrubbed with Lisa Barsoomian, I'm going to put Rod Rosenstein on the stand and I'm going to say, is Lisa Barsoomian your wife? It's going to come out. Rod, don't be that guy who waits to get on the witness stand. Let this leak out now. Okay? So we're working on the Lisa Barsoomian. Now, Christy Vilsack, a lot of people have been mentioning her, and a lot of people have told me about her husband Vilsack and how Tom Vilsack down here and how he was at USDA and how he's crooked and all this stuff and how he was running, all this stuff through the Ames, Iowa APHIS Center, which is the product testing center. And there's a little part of the testing center that's not agriculture, it's DHS where they do food testing, and that's the control drug point control, and that's where they're shipping all the stuff. We don't know that to be true, but it is interesting. Christine did leave USDA to go over to where? USAID. And it's interesting that she ran against Steve King, and I believe that's Iowa 4, and in that area, Iowa 4 is the Ames Center, is the Ames APHIS testing center. So my big question to Steve King is, why haven't you done a drill down on the DHS food testing area? That's where the shit's going to happen if the stuff happens. Excuse me for using the word shite. I meant shite with an E on the end. Finally, the story we're working on is who were the judges? Who were the judges that did the PP-FISA? these judges, these poor judges, they're really fantastic if you look at all their history and all the cases they've been on. And now I'm going to dress this up, as Mr. Jordan says, we're going to dress up this FISA, and we're going to try to fool these people that get put on the FISA court, right? Well, who are the three people that got, this fraud perpetrated on them by Andrew McCabe and Peter Strokes and Lisa Page, or Lisa Rosenstein, however you want to say it. I actually think it's Lisa Rosenstein communicating with Andrew McCabe, because Andrew McCabe doesn't know anything about the law. But anyway, we won't go there. But it's going to be Rosemary Collier, Boasberg, famous Boasberg. He's the Snowden judge. And then Contreras, who's also equally now famous. So I believe Rosemary Collier will be famous before this is over. These judges who were doing the right thing for their country were lied to. And this is fraud on the court. This is Watergate times 30, going to a federal judge with the PP dossier and ask for a PP FISA. This is going to be bigger than Watergate, 30 Watergates. And these judges do not like it when you fool Mother Nature. These are very powerful judges. Like Mother Nature, they can do a lot of stuff with their powers of equity. So anyway, those are the stories we're working on. Let's just look into Mary Collier a little bit, as long as we're having a little bit of fun. And these are, this first district, this D.C. district, is kind of like the super district of the 94 federal districts. I mean, this is the next step before the Supreme Court. So these folks that we're looking at here probably will be on the consideration for Supreme Court soon. So anyway, you can look and see her background there. I don't really know much about it. Interesting habeas corpus case, because there's a habeas corpus case right now with the Secretary of Defense in Mattis, and Judge Chutkan got that case. And I followed that habeas corpus case with Judge Collier, and I just was wondering why that Judge Collier didn't get that habeas corpus case. We'll see. Now, is Mattis draining the swamp with that guy that they haven't announced yet, that has been in detention for 2 months? And is he telling everybody about the Iridium phones? Is he telling everybody about the Navy encryption? Is he telling everybody about NCIS and how they do the encryption level, and how Imran does the Iridium piece with Blue Skynet and nanosats? We don't know, but we'll find out. Those are the stories we're working on this morning.